and welcome to An EntrepreneurTV, the first magazine show for entrepreneurs. My name is Baiju Solanki, and along with Dave McDonald of Silver Island TV are the founders of An EntrepreneurTV. The aim of this show is to be the show for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. More and more people are moving away from traditional employment and starting their own businesses. This show aims to bring you the most up-to-date news on how you can start and grow and expand your business. What we aim to bring you over the next coming months is news on all things entrepreneurial, funding, new companies, startups, events, anything to do with entrepreneurship. Technology is never far away, and there are new apps and software always being released to help new businesses grow their businesses. So we'll have resident experts on hand to give you what's hot and what's not in the world of entrepreneurship. There is so much out there. How do you know who to listen to? Well, we will look around the world for the best of the best and bring you the experts that are making the difference in the world of entrepreneurship today. Also, this show is about you, so we want your live tweets. It's going out live now. It is 8:05 on September the 8th. Yes, Monday, September the 8th. So it's live as we speak. So there's a hashtag EntTv, which you see on your screens, and my tweet, Baiju Solanki. So please tweet me, let me know your comments and views on the show today. So send in your Q&A, questions, anything to do with the show, you know, maybe suggestions, comments on the interviews and the experts that are talking about, any questions you have, I'll be happy to answer. So please tweet away, and if there's time at the end, we'll answer your tweets. So now, on today's show, what do we have? Well, we have news around the world of entrepreneurship. We have an expert interview from James Cook, who's an expert on CRM and automated marketing. So more from him later. We also have an interview with the owners of Planet Leasing. I visited their site a few weeks ago, and they talk about their journey in the last 7 years of how they grew their business from literally a one-man band or two-man band, if you like, to now having over 15, 16 employees and having multiple sites around Essex. So without any further ado, let's go to our first piece, which is entrepreneur news and news on what's happening in the world. See you in a minute. In 2010, tech entrepreneurs set up what they call the Coalition for Digital Economy, Kodak for short. And this month, they set out their manifesto that sets out 24 ways the government can make UK a world leader on digital innovation. Examples include making it easier for startups to hire from overseas, investment to help teachers deliver a new computer curriculum, students to be taught software, programming and safety online from the age of 5, and how to make it easier for startups to sell to the government. They found that the UK app developers will add £4 billion to the GDP this year, and this sector will be worth over £31 billion by 2025. They, however, do recognise that the access to funding is still one of the biggest issues for startups, but overall this is great news for digital innovation. In addition, the Telegraph reported this week that recession startups are more profitable. They interviewed 3,500 businesses, not only the UK, but Spain, Netherlands, France and Germany and the US, and they found that 38% of businesses started during the recession. 49% of these made a profit during the first 12 months. And out of those 3,500, businesses in the UK are likely to hire new staff. They also found that young people are more likely to launch a business during these tough times. 42% of recession startups are run by owners of under 40, compared to just 15% of other firms. Did you know that Microsoft and General Electric, were both started during the recession? So that goes to show that whatever time of the year it is, whatever the economy status, if anything, recession is a great time to start a business. In other news, realbusiness.co.uk, the website for small SMEs, polled a Gov by YouGov. And YouGov, they revealed that 54% of UK think that businesses make a positive contribution to society. The study coincides with the launch of the Confederation of British Industry campaign to restore trust in UK business. The CBI is UK's leading independent employees organisation, and their General Director, Captain Hall, said, the economic crisis alongside high-profile industry scandals has severely dented trust. Unless businesses can respond to these challenges, it will lose the right to be listened to the big issues facing our economy and society today. The CBI will work to build stronger relationships between business and the public. So that's all good news to see. You know, there's a lot of things happening to build trust between UK business and the consumers out there. So that's today's Entrepreneurial News. Thank you. Hi there, so hopefully that was useful to you in terms of what's happening. Now, if you've got some news around entrepreneurship, maybe your company's secure some investment, maybe your company's turning a takeover, or you're a new startup and you'd like to be featured on air, just tweet me at Baiju Solanki. Don't panic. Don't know what happened there. Oh, there you go. Sorry for that transition there. So hashtag EntTv. As I say, this is only our second live broadcast, so there's going to be teething problems in terms of broadcasting as you do with live. So as I said earlier, James Cook is an entrepreneur and an individual who works with small businesses. Oh, let me get my thing. Small businesses, helping them. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, helping them with business processes around CRM marketing automation. And James has been working with businesses to help them understand that CRM isn't just about an Excel sheet, isn't just about contacting your customers blindly, but there's a science behind there, and how a CRM system can then actually create, you can create automated marketing campaigns. So now we have an interview with James Cook, recorded slightly earlier today, but live interview event. So this is James Cook and myself talking about CRM and marketing automation. So welcome, James. How are you?
Yes, very well. Thank you.
Fantastic. Glad for coming down. You'll come all the way down from
Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire, so a few hours away. Great,
absolutely.
super. And who's at home waiting for you?
Children, as normal.
Yeah.
A loving wife that hopefully has got the dinner on the table.
Absolutely great, super good. So today we're going to talk about CRM, as I explained before, and you work with businesses who run CRM systems and marketing. But before we carry on with that, just for the viewers at home, what is CRM and how do you use it?
So you may have come across the buzzword CRM.
Yeah.
In short, it really stands for a customer database. So it's a place where, if you're attracting customers into your funnel from the front end, you've got to have the ability to be able to capture that information and have it there so that you can look at it at a glance whenever, really. But also it's a great opportunity so that when you are planning your next marketing strategy, you can look at the database you've captured originally and generally take off from there based on the feedback it's provided you, really.
Okay, so a lot of people might think, because CRM stands for customer relationship.
It's customer relationship management.
Management, right.
But to keep it short, customer management, I like to call it.
Okay, because all customers should be related to in somehow, right? Okay,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no business without customers, so it's a tool to help.
So if someone's saying, well, my CRM is my Excel sheet, I've got all my potential customers and my customers there, and I've got their phone number and their email address.
Yes.
What else would I need? So in today's world, with the amount of technology about, how has CRM systems moved on from maybe the Excel sheet?
Okay, so we live in this world where information is freely available. So there's lots of people out there that have multiple questions. So they've heard this and they've read that, but they may not necessarily always understand it in their own language. So where technology has come a long way is that it now gives you the ability to create custom fields. And those custom fields is where you can then start to ask or capture information based on their challenges or their concerns. I don't understand this. Explain that in more detail.
Okay.
But again, because there's a lot of people out there, the internet, Google gets so many searches, I couldn't tell you how many a day, an hour, a minute.
Yeah.
You've got to have the ability to be there at the right time in order to take that information, so that 6 months down the line, when you're then trying to launch an upsold version of product A, for example, and you need to see a pattern of who's bought product A and their general challenges based on why they bought that, it just gives you that ability to then go, right, these are the sort of customers that have bought A. These tend to be the trend of some of the things they've been a challenge on. So I know that product B needs to be this.
So one thing you mentioned there, which I want to touch upon you mentioned custom fields. What do you mean by custom fields?
So absolutely, let's take this back a bit. So the difference between an Excel spreadsheet of people and a custom CRM system is that with Excel, you've got to filter through things. So if you're an Excel expert, for example, and you know how to filter columns or cells, think of that as a task that you need to do. So you think, well, actually, I need to be able to find people that have answer this question.
Okay.
The thing is with Excel, you've got to think of what question that is.
So you might say, I want to target a certain age group,
Absolutely.
a certain profession, or they might have bought one product. If they bought this product, they'll be interested in this, but you don't want to tell them about. So that's that kind of thing.
That's in a nutshell, absolutely. So
Right.
it just gives you the ability. So what I mean by custom fields is that where CRM has come on so much, it's now the ability to kind of capture more information than it used to be able to.
Okay.
And that we call a custom area. So a
Right.
standard CRM will be what's their name, their first name, what company they work for, their job title, a direct number, an email address. So think of that as a standard CRM. The ability to capture information now could be what's their age,
Okay.
how long have they been in the industry for, what's their turnover, if
Okay.
you're working with businesses. If you're working with consumers,
Yeah.
it could be a case of what's your pet, what sort of information do you need regarding selling
Where do they shop?
services for pets?
Where
for
do they
example.
shop?
Absolutely.
Maybe they have children.
Maybe they have children, yes.
Yeah. Because one of the things about growing and starting your business, I'm sure a lot of people viewing today might be starting their businesses or might have already, or thinking of starting a business and probably thinking, well, CRM and all that kind of thing, I'll leave till later. And some people do. But it's important to know what you're dealing with. So what you're saying is a CRM system gives you product, gives you your information about your target audience,
Yes.
beyond just their name and what they've bought, basically their age, what kind of restaurants they may go to, what things they've bought from before. So you can target them a bit more efficiently. Is that what you're saying?
Precisely.
Okay.
Absolutely that.
So when someone, say you've got a CRM and a system that you're using, there's many out there, and we don't want to go through all the difference here. We'll touch on it a bit later. So when you have a CRM system and you've got certain demographics of your customers, so what?
Exactly. And this is where innovation has really come out of the shell from a standard CRM, which could be an Excel sheet, to now a cloud-based solution where you could log into it anywhere in the world. It's once you have that information, again, living in this world we live in now, whereby the whole idea of pulse buying is the thing of the past. There's so much information out there on the market where people can literally click a button and it's there for them. Where you need to work is being there at the right time. So when your customer is ready to buy, you want to be in front of them. So you've not just educated them to understand your product, you also need to be there once they're ready to make that buying decision.
Right.
Because what happens and this is the difference between blanket marketing, as I like to call it, or broadcast marketing, where you're literally selling. Well, that doesn't work either. What you need to be able to do is proceed. Once you've given that value, so they've come into your database, they understand you're an expert in your market, they understand you perceive yourself as the go-to or UK number one or worldwide number one go-to team.
Yeah.
You've also then got to say, well, it's not just about, well, you got this. We now need to educate them. So drip marketing in an automated way is where plugging a CRM to a marketing system really comes into its own.
Right. So really, what you're saying is customers are going to buy stuff.
They're going to buy stuff.
You want to make sure that you are at the point of them buying stuff when they're ready to buy.
Exactly.
And to broadcast, it's probably a bit old school, if you like, or quite uneducated, just to send out messages willy-nilly and hoping that you're going to meet. It's like someone saying, well, I'm going to sell TVs and I'm going to send everybody that is on my database TVs. But if someone's already bought a TV 2 weeks ago, they're not interested in that message.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, so it's about understanding your marketplace and how you market to them. And when we're talking about go-to person, some people might be thinking of, what am I an expert on? Whatever you're selling or whatever you're offering, whether it's a product or a service, you are the go-to person.
You're
Is that
the go-to
correct?
person,
Right.
precisely, and that is what you've got to perceive yourself as. Because, as mentioned, with what's available now worldwide on the internet from your mobile phone nowadays, there are lots probably of people that could be doing something quite similar to you. But what you've got to sort of differentiate yourself with is the ability to say, well, yes, I do this, but I'm going to help you in these ways. So you're providing them value, and to do that, and to make it more effective, and also to save you time, an automated marketing campaign is where it could really come into its own. It delivers to you as though I'm sending you a message, even though automated bit of kit has done all the hard work.
Yeah.
But because you're tied it in with a CRM, the customer database, you can take that targeted, personalised message one step further. Because with the ability with the custom field, so going back to the custom field area, where I've captured you have a cat and you're quite fond of cats, you spend a lot of your time, a lot of your hobbies based on the cats. You know, you've got to have that market, that message delivered to that person as though, okay,
you're talking to them.
Exactly, you're talking to them. So, oh, did you know the next crave is, you know, making pretty things with how you can present them a birthday present, for example. You know, and the idea really is, again, to also eliminate multiple systems. There's no point having a CRM that does one job. You then have to plug that into a marketing system, but then also have the ability to then automate that marketing. The idea is to have one system that can operate the whole synergy of the process.
I get that. The thing is, you mentioned mobile earlier there, in terms of mobile phones, and you know how much are people using mobile phones? You search more on mobile phones nowadays than anything else. So, and people buy on smart devices, on tablets, on phones.
Absolutely.
So, what you're saying in terms of a CRM, the CRM in its own right is not the goal. It's what you do with that in terms of creating an automated marketing campaign. Let's go back to basics. What is an automated marketing campaign?
Okay, so let's use an example for this. So I'm a prospect. You are a company that I've found on the internet, and I've filled my name and email address on. But what the message that you're delivering me is, I can help you doing this, or I can help you make more money in less time than you thought, as an example. So the drip marketing could be in essence that on that first email I receive, you're offering me something. You're offering me the ability to get better at what I do at maybe a cost that, you know, is appetizing for me.
Let's pick a real example. And I know one of the markets that early internet marketers used to use is dog training.
Dog training.
So let's use dog training as an example. I've got a dog. It's all over the shop, and you offer dog training book on how to, you know, the 7 ways to train your dog in terms of being house trained. And I put my email address, and you send me that initial thing. How does it work thereafter?
Yeah. Okay. So the drip marketing, in essence, could be that on day one of the day I've subscribed to you, I receive email 1. In there could be some action that I would need to take. So it could be taken to a sales page. It could be to download the guide that you've given me. Now, if I don't take an action, if I don't click on a link within that email, I could have a little time delay trigger, which could say, well, in 3 days' time, if your prospect hasn't engaged with that email, I'm going to send another one. And that other one could not necessarily say, we notice you haven't downloaded the guide. It could be, how are you getting on with the guide? Here's a quick implementation tip on X, Y, Z. So that's an example of how a drip marketing could be.
And you do that over what? A couple of days, couple of weeks, months?
Again, it's dependent on industry. You know, it could be that I deliver once a day. However, that may be too much for some industries. It could be that once every other day is an example, or once a week. There's no right or wrong way of setting a drip marketing campaign. It's
so it depends on your market, depends on who you're marketing to, and the thing that you're actually offering to your audience. So let's say it's 3 weeks, 3 weeks drip marketing. What happens after that? So they get all this information, and you nurture them, and you prospect and give them good value. What happens after 3 weeks?
So there is a strategy that I use a lot with clients I work with, and it does consist of 7 steps. Quite funny that we're using a 7-step guide. So just to kind of very quickly explain these 7 steps. So the first one is all about attracting. So having the correct headline, using the correct media such as Facebook advertising, Google pay-per-click, drawing those of your target audience into your funnel. And the whole capturing is then the technology. So it could be that this system's taking their name and email address, is then pushing that into the database, the CRM in essence. So once they're in the funnel, all being equal, great, they buy instantly. Unfortunately, we don't live in this world where everything is equal. So we then need to have the 3rd step. So step 1 is attracting, 2nd step is capturing, which is what we're using the technology for. The 3rd step is then the nurturing element. So now that we have them in the system, we know that they are partially interested in what we do. However, the trust, the validation may not be there at this time. This is where the nurture step 3 comes in. So it could be that we're now providing more value, or providing extra value based on the value we provided, just giving them more carrots.
A little bit more.
Just look, if you didn't understand this, here's another way of thinking about it. Or once you've read that guide, think of the first things that come to your head, then prioritise them in levels of urgency. And then go ahead and get on with it. So then once that nurture step has then come in, we then go into step 4, which is where we're then going to start to convert those prospects into customers.
Okay.
So we need to give a very painless, free exercise to go, right, you get what we're doing, you understand the concept of what we're providing you, here's something I'm going to offer you.
Okay.
And put some level of urgency in there. Sometimes an offer deadline really works. And because you've got the strict marketing, it gives you the ability to go...
So let's have a quick recap before we get to the 7. So
Yeah,
the first
absolutely.
is attracting the customers. So attracting the customers into your funnel. So if you're a dog trainer, you want people who have got dogs to say, look, get this free book and we can train your dog.
That's right.
The second thing is nurture.
No, second is capturing.
Capturing. So you've got to attract them
step
to a
1 and 2
headline.
is it more or less works in synergy.
So you attract them to a headline or an offer, and then you got to capture them. So what do you want from them? A name or an email?
Yeah.
Do you want their address? What would it be good to ask for? Name, email, the address, and phone number? What's the best way to capture?
At this stage, it's best to keep that as simple and less sort of capturing at the moment go, really.
Okay.
Ideally, first name and email address is fine.
Okay.
And this generally what takes us on to the next step, which we'll get to.
Right. Okay.
About if you need more information, then.
Okay. Because you want to give the barrier low. You don't want to give them an excuse not to.
Yeah, I mean, I have a rule where I tend not to ask more than 5 questions, and a question could be first name, email address.
So that's a question. That counts as a question.
That counts as a question.
Okay,
it could be if you're selling dog tricks,
Yeah.
or the ability to help train your dog.
Yeah.
Maybe having a drop-down menu, it could be, well, what's your most difficult task? Is it stopping your dog from jumping up in your lap? Is it how do I prevent my dog from jumping on the sofas or eating the post
or whatever it might be.
when it comes to the door? As an example.
So attraction, capture, and then nurture. Can you explain why do you need to nurture the client? If you've got the information, why not just say, hey, look, this is what I've got my next product. This is my next thing.
Exactly. Well, the point of it really is that at this moment in time, as I said, all being equal, great, offer them something. That's fine. In fact, there is no right or wrong way of offering them something from the beginning. But we've got to perceive this as we've got to kind of give them a reason to buy. So we've got to change that want into a need.
Okay.
So they need your product, and in order for them to need that product, you've got to give them a reason of why you are the best at what you do. Or reasons. It could be multiple things.
Okay.
So the nurture element is all it's doing really is just guiding them back to the straight path. So at the moment they've jumped in the river, and we now need to guide them to swim to the bank, to jump over, to get back onto the garden path.
Okay.
So the nurture element could be another way of you actually asking more information. So maybe the nurture element could be that actually you need to validate them to see if they're viable to buy your product.
Okay.
So yes, you're interested in learning how to get better at teaching your dogs, but maybe actually you need to know, well, what are their biggest challenges?
Right, okay.
You know, how many dogs do you have?
Okay.
What type of breed is the dog? You know, there could be lots of elements.
During the nurturing process, would you give more value?
Well, exactly. So it could be that, oh, well, let's say we identified that a typical customer is one of these 3.
Yeah.
So route 1 could be that it's for a dog that is quite active. You know, Labradors are quite active dogs.
Okay.
So it could be that here's some information or a quick report on the best techniques.
Okay.
So by them capturing that information, you could be asking a little bit more information about them as a prospect, so to speak. Which again, as I mentioned with the custom fields, you've created an area which you need to identify to get to more engage with your customers or your prospects.
Okay.
So once we've covered the nurture element, it's then all about converting that to a sale. So we now know our prospects. We now know that there's a divide in the 3 areas as explained. We've got those that seem to want to try and tame their dogs and make them less, you know, as a bit too in your face as a visitor walks in the door.
Yeah.
And then we may also then want to learn a little, or teach the owner of the dog or the prospect of yours to how to kind of control them when taking dogs for walks with other dogs around.
Okay, I get you.
Okay.
So at the initial reason for them to come into your funnel, it's fairly similar. They want to train their dog. Then as you nurture them, you can say, well, what's specific for you? Is it more about taming your dog, or more about outdoor stuff, indoor stuff? So you're saying then it segments the market, and then the message you give thereafter can be slightly different, which means you get a high chance of converting. Is that what you're...
Absolutely. Again, it depends on the industry you work with.
Right. Okay.
So let's say the nurture sequence can consist of delivering 3 lots of value over a period of 3 weeks. So 1 email a week is providing some sort of value.
Okay.
And that value could be that you're teaching them something, or it could be that you're proving to your prospect you are the expert and that they need to spend their hard-earned cash with you.
Okay.
Okay, as I said, there's lots of information out there. Anybody can find out anything they like, free.
Yeah.
So why should they buy from you? Why should I spend my hard-earned cash with you? That's the part of it. So after those 3 pieces of value emails, the 4th could be all about an offer.
Okay.
So
because you're giving them something,
because you're giving them
and
something,
then you're asking them something. Okay.
but the offer's very related to getting more stuff done or getting things in perspective from an expert based on what you've learned over the 3 emails.
So it's congruent with the original message.
Exactly. Now, there's also some powerful technology that needs to play another part in this, because if that person's bought, then the last thing you want to do is keep educating them about the same thing and start to say, well, actually, you need to buy this when actually they bought it. So using an automated system, we can have little triggers in there which it can monitor certain elements of the system. And I don't want to make this too complicated, but in essence, it could be that if they buy something, we stop that campaign and we move them onto a new customer campaign. Again,
because they're now a customer.
Exactly, and I will get on to upsells because it is part of the steps, the 7 steps. So once you converted them, we now need to deliver the service and we need to wow that customer.
Okay.
It's not over yet. Yes, you've got their money, but you know it's not always about the first order is where you leave it. It's about repeat orders and also the money you've spent bringing that person in originally. We want to make that more profitable for you. So if you spent £100 advertising on Google pay-per-click, let's get multiple orders from that person. So that £100 is then reduced to almost next to nothing because that customer's bought and bought and bought. So after you've delivered and wowed them, we then want to start communicating to get them to buy a premium version of that product or a cross-sell item. So maybe that they've learned how to control their dog in a bad situation with other dogs around, or maybe you could possibly advertise selling them some sort of merchandise, you know, the lead that allows them to be stopped after 10 metres before the worst case scenario happens, for example.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So, but it also gives you the ability to go and actually promote other things you do. Again, softly, you know, we still want to provide value and then gently give them a sale. Don't go, you need to buy this because you bought that. It's give them a reason to buy it.
So we're up to 4 steps. We've got attraction, capture, nurture, and deliver.
So and then upsell. So we're
that's
on the 5th. So deliver and satisfy. I mean, just to reverse slightly, deliver and satisfy. The reason why I've not spent a long time with it is because it is down to you. You're 100% to blame if anything goes wrong because it is the delivery of it.
The thing that they're buying.
Exactly. Yeah. So if they bought from you and you perceive yourself as an expert, don't be afraid to over-deliver. Go that extra mile for them.
Okay.
Because as mentioned, you've just spent a lot of money getting that person into your funnel. Let's get more value out of them. So over-delivering means that when you do upsell to them, which is the 5th stage, they're not going to go, oh, it's £50 or it's £100. They're going to go, I love this company. So what I'm going to buy from them because they are great at what they do.
What if people's thinking out there, well, it's all very well, you know, I've got a premium product. Do I want to give my best stuff away? You know, in the earlier stages, how's the balance work?
Again, it's really down to industry again. You know, you don't obviously want to give too much away, but at the same time, you don't want to give too less away where it's not going to actually convince them to buy more. So analogy could be that slightly overcomplicate the scenario, whereas they understand what you're trying to provide them, but they need that helping hand in order to get from, you know,
I suppose
the
key, what you're saying there is that implementation.
It's implementation.
Yeah, and sometimes people want to be handheld. So
absolutely.
Give them enough that they can do it themselves, but they may think, actually, you know what, I'd rather have the expert come in and do it. And why wouldn't you? You know, if you want to run your business,
And another analogy could be that anybody can say they're an expert at this and an expert at that. But again, because this available information is there from a touch of a finger on your mobile, on the train, wherever you are, you also have to kind of deliver that expertise of yours.
And if you think about where the web and social media now is 2.0, you know, before 1.0 was very much about information, you know, give information and that's enough. But now, like you say, you could Google anything and get as much information about anything and everything. You know what to do. But what people are looking for is the implementation and how to do it. And what I'm hearing is that the automated system allows you to position yourself where people want your implementation.
Absolutely.
And your expertise. Right.
It also allows you to control the sales cycle, to control your pipeline, because if you think about it, it's automated. So therefore, you've already built the cycle. You've already mapped out every eventuality of that person buying from you. So you're in complete control. It's not, I'll give you a call next Thursday, oh, when that guy's not in, and you're then saying, oh, I'll give him a call on Friday, or I'll send him a quick email, where he could be on holiday, but you didn't know that. See, with drip marketing, you've already discovered your target audience. You've already captured the information you needed to capture to identify what product would be most suited for them. And then the actual nurturing element is all pre-written. So the hard work starts from the beginning. The easy work is all you've got to do is feed the system. You've got to spend money on advertising and get them in the system and let the system control the rest.
You know, you mentioned system there. We'll talk about systems towards the end of the interview
Absolutely.
in terms of how that works. Okay,
yeah,
great.
and exactly. So to go back into the 7 steps, so we're now up to, as you know, step
Deliver.
5. So we've done the upsell. So we've done the delivery.
Delivering, yeah.
We've now provided the ability to upsell additional products.
Yeah.
You know, we might find that Joe Bloggs, let's use him as an example, bought product A, but he found actually needs more support. So he actually needs a premium service. So to offer him a premium service, he's going to go, yeah, I'll have it.
Yeah.
Not because of the price, because it's on the shop shelf available to him. It's because he knows he needs it, and you're there at the right time to offer that.
But it's also, you've built the trust with him.
You've built the trust with him.
He trusts
and that's what
you
it's
because
about.
you've already delivered great value.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the upsell element is great, but also we need to capture people's experiences. Now, a salesman could be the best selling person in the world. However, a customer testimonial case study will outsell that salesman 500 times over. Because the way they read that case study, they relate their own personal opinions about things, or they could emotionally attach to that, think, oh, do you know what? I had the same problem as that person.
Yeah.
And reading that completely kind of explains everything that I'm feeling right now, or emotionally I'm going through as a challenge. So that when at the end of that testimony, the person said, well, I found this company, you know, they claim to be this, they delivered on time, I got great value out of them. How powerful is that?
Yeah.
But you've got to be able to, you've got to be there to ask it. Now, don't just go and say, oh, give us a testimonial and expect them to do that, because they won't. Everybody's busy. We all overwork ourselves. We always run over time. So a great little technique I always tend to do is actually to pre-write testimonials. So if you're delivering a service, so to speak, and you expect the customer to get this from it, well, write that. Write that, I found this company after months of searching for this particular need. They delivered this, they delivered that, everything was on time, everything was way above my expectations. And all you're doing is writing a testimonial for them and ask them, do you agree with this? And if they say yes, we'll say, can I put your name and take a lovely photo of you to put against it? Done.
Yeah. And if they
But it's
don't, you
automated.
just adjust it accordingly.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But using the automation again, so after, say, 30 days of them purchasing that product, we can then have that pre-populated. So the only hard work you've got to do is just to make sure that those testimonials are kept fresh.
Right.
So again, like the controlling the sales cycle, you've pre-written everything, every analogy, every possible outcome of a satisfied customer, you've pre-written.
Right, I see.
So
So that's step 6.
That's step 6.
Let's go
so
through. So we've got attraction, capture, nurture, deliver, satisfy.
Testimonials, so ask for testimonials.
Upsells.
Ask testimonials
that's
is
6.
kind of pote.
Yeah, okay. And 7th?
The 7th is then referrals.
Right.
Okay, so, and again, this is a whole session on its own, because there is many strategies out there that work, that don't work, and it's like one of those, is Google pay-per-click the right media platform for me to search for? I don't know until you try it. Very similar analogy from referrals. So just to give you an example, if somebody has given you a fantastic testimonial, they've sung high and praise based on what you've done, and let's say you do a net promoter score. So what a net promoter score is saying, out of 10, what do you think, would you refer us? 10 being the highest, 1 being the least. So what we can do is anything based above 5, we can have another area of the automated system trigger some sort of referral campaign. So, okay, we noticed that you gave us quite a high score of referrals. Well, here's your chance to provide us with the details. However, the problem with it is that you've got to give them something in exchange. So think back to step 1 and 2, attract and capture. You're in essence buying their name and email address in receipt of giving them some sort of value. So think of that as a referral. If you're going to be asking them to refer somebody, what are you going to give them in exchange? I know it seems as though that's outrageous, but unfortunately this is the way the world works. You know, why should I give you anything without getting something?
Well, some
in
will
return?
get it because they know they've got a great service.
Some do.
Some you need to give an incentive.
But think of this as an analogy. If you say to someone, look, if you refer one person, I will give you X amount of stuff in exchange, or I will knock off 15% off your next purchase, or I would give you £100 gift voucher with Amazon. If you refer 2, I'll double it. If you refer 3, you get the whole program of year's program of dog training on me. So you're kind of encouraging them to give more referrals. So they're now thinking, who can I refer? Oh, I can refer this person. But you're there at that time to remind them to get the referrals in.
But it's also in the context of value as well. So it's
Absolute
not about
value.
you don't want any referrals that are not going to go. So it's about offering value and knowing your marketplace. Because there's certain marketplace, because all that nurturing will allow you to do that.
That's right.
So I get that. So all right. So the 7 steps.
So 7 steps. It's a simple process.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a little time consuming from the beginning, but again, you make it complicated.
Yeah.
If you know your target audience, you know your product, it should be an easy task for you to do. And then once set up.
So tell me this then. You work with a lot of businesses and you implement that system. Where do most businesses fall down? Which step?
Okay. So typically, they stop from the minute they sell one product. So as soon as they sell one product, they go back to the beginning.
Right.
So a typical customer life cycle could be they spend money to attract them. They give them a bit of value to say, look, we can do this, we can do that, here's proof. They convert them, great. They go back to the beginning again. So they actually forget, oh, by the way, now that you bought this, do you know you could also buy this?
Right.
Or we could buy that.
Why do you think that is? Why do businesses do that?
I just think there's no right or wrong way of doing it. I think partly could be laziness. It could be that they don't understand what a customer is, you know. People that set up businesses are not always sales and marketing experts. So
Could there be
you've got to kind of put yourself in the shoes. So if I bought product A, what else could I buy? Think of that yourself.
Could there be an element also of people, they bought once, they don't want to push it too much?
It could be that you're scared to ask. Absolutely.
I think a great example, and I think you've seen this, is I'm sure there's not one person watching this broadcast today that have not used Amazon. And as soon as you buy a product on Amazon, as soon as you put the order button in, the order process, and it's all been complete, straight away at the bottom you get opportunity to buy a similar product. If you bought a book, these are the books you might like.
Absolutely.
If you bought a widget of some sort, these are the widgets. And from a personal experience, I don't feel like I'm being sold to. It's like, oh, thanks, Amazon. And so that's the sort of thing you're talking about, isn't it? That's after the nurture bit and sort of the deliver and satisfy, because the deliver thing is saying, look, what else could you have? And you feel, oh, thanks. So customers do want to know what they can get from you.
They do, yeah, absolutely. And it's science in essence, if you think about it. I mean, there's a rule out there called the 80-20 rule. Now, it's proven in many other strategies, but you can use this in the same analogy as upselling and getting referrals. Think about it, 20% of your customers would likely to buy a premium product. But if you've not given it, if it's not available to them, or you're not promoting that upsell, then you're never going to reduce your cost per customer. Because that's what it's about. We're in business to make money. We're leaving our job to go on our own to make a better living for ourselves. So make that possible. Your customer loves you. They've just told you that in a testimonial.
To give them the opportunity.
Give them the opportunity. What have you got to lose? If they don't like it, they don't buy it. Fine.
Exactly.
You're not pushing them.
And the great thing about automated marketing, it's all about value messages.
That's right.
And people can, the recipient, for example, can turn it off as anytime they want. They don't have to receive the messages. So if they continue receiving your messages, they want to be known what your next premium product is, to give them the opportunity to buy it. That's basically what you're saying.
Exactly what I'm saying. And again, the science behind using a CRM related to a marketing automation system all in one is that the CRM is that the job of the CRM or the customer database is to capture information about your prospects.
Right.
It's also to give the ability to understand your target audience a little bit better. You know, from the beginning of when you first start out could be completely different a year, 2 years down the line. However, not having a system in place, it's then impossible to tell how you're going to get from how I've got £100,000 worth of sales in year one and how I'm going to double that for year two. Without having something in place that could record that and also nurture that system, then you're never going to know where you're going wrong and what you need to fix to make yourself better. You know, again, without customers, you haven't got a business. So it's actually imperative you have a system in place that, you know, there's expensive ones, there's ones that could do a very simple job where, you know, everything you do is very manual, you just want to have somewhere you can store information, great. You know, that works for you, great. But there's also systems out there that can also save you time and grow your sales.
So you talk about systems, and I'm sure people thinking, well, you know, okay, great. So if you're talking about this, what system do you use? Now, I use Infusionsoft. Now, I know you use Infusionsoft. In fact, you're a certified trainer for Infusionsoft. Now, I must say, this is not an advert for Infusionsoft at all, but it's something that we use. But there are loads of systems out there. And the key is to find one. Infusionsoft might not be right for you. You know, Aweber is an email system. You've got iContact. You've got Constant Contact. There's a whole range of things. So I would encourage you to type CRM automated system in Google and see what comes up. But just for the purpose of the example given, how do you use Infusion? Does it do all those things you talk about in terms of nurture and capture and upsell and all those bits and pieces? Does that Infusionsoft use that system?
Absolutely, yes. It encompasses multiple systems and it eliminates chaos.
Okay.
So there are lots of technology systems out there.
Yeah.
Some that you install on your machine, some that are freely available on any internet connection that you have using a username and password. So to give you an example of where Infusionsoft can play a huge part is that it can help your site work better in terms of your website, and I mean site as in website. So let's say you're promoting an advert on Google. Now, Google are a big believer of making sure that wherever they come from, it goes to the page that's relevant.
Right.
Now, I won't get into Google and how their medias work, but just to give you as an example, what Infusionsoft will be able to do is to plug in the technology needed to take that username and password. It then automatically pushes that person into your system. And from that, based on how they've came in or what response they've given, so let's say you asked for the name and email address and you asked a question with 3 possible answers. One is, I really need help in A, actually I need help in B, or I need help with C. Based on one of those answers would trigger a campaign built within the marketing automation of Infusionsoft, which will then specifically target relevant, valuable information to that prospect based on what they've given. Rather than it ticks a button and it's sent to one of the sales guys in the office to say, oh, we noticed you did this, which is fine, you can do that.
Yeah.
But the ability to kind of have that information available to them, for them to digest in their own time, rather than someone forcing the information on them, it just puts you in a better position so that when they do buy, they're going to buy from you and not your competitors.
Right.
So Infusionsoft takes the CRM, the marketing, and even if you like, if you sell online, it even takes the whole, and there's a buzzword for that, e-commerce, which allows people to buy online using their, like Amazon or eBay if you use one or the other, to capture, in fact, be there when they want to buy and they've got the credit card ready.
I know that Infusionsoft is set up, it's specifically for small and medium-sized
It's for SMEs, or SMEs as I like to call them,
and it's basically, you know, the big corporates have been using this, you know, Amazon and eBay have been using this sort of thing for years, and it's allowing the small business person to take advantage of the automated system available to them.
So if you was to roll the clock 20 years ago, where CRM was only available to blue chip companies that are willing to put hundreds of £1,000s into something being customised, what Infusionsoft gives is the ability to have all the features of what a blue chip company had available to them, but at a fraction of the cost. So in essence, it's like buying a car on lease. You're paying a monthly fee for the car, and once you're done with it, you give it back. But with Infusionsoft, you're paying a license fee for it, and it's there to kind of help your business as opposed to costing your business.
Great, it sounds a great system. I think we've talked about a lot of things here today.
We have, yeah.
And I know time's against us now. I think how long we've been going? How long have we been going, producers?
38 minutes.
38 minutes, well, fantastic. It was only been half an hour, but great. There's a lot of information out there. Now, if people want to get in touch with you, James, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, my website is brandbubble.co.
Okay.
No .uk at the ends. Alternatively, if you want to have a quick chat with us, there's our sales line is 0333 0124 042, and I'm available to talk.
Great. So James is an expert around CRM and automated marketing. So if you want to get in contact, please do. It's been great talking to you today.
Thank you very
Fantastic
much,
and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Thanks. Hi there. So that was James recorded early today, only a couple of hours earlier, talking about CRM and marketing automation. So there's lots of good tips in there. Now, some of you who've been watching the show may have your own way of marketing, but with the amount of resources out there, we talked about Infusionsoft, there's no real excuse, if you like, for any business to not automate at least some of their nurturing and communication with their clientele. Right, so earlier this year I ran an event called Wanna Be an Entrepreneur, and that was about helping students and young people, unemployed, anybody who's looking to start a business or do better in their life to actually improve and get the opportunity. And I'm running another event coming up in December, which details will be given out later on. But in the meantime, this is a little review of what we did in April and some sort of clips and highlights of the event in April last year. Just want to be an entrepreneur.
Burning and breaking, smiling and faking, dodging and crying, laughing and lying. Burning and breaking, smiling and faking, dodging and crying, laughing and lying. Together we rise, together we rise, together we rise. Together we rise, together we rise, together we rise, together we
So there was some highlights there from the last Wanna Be an Entrepreneur extravaganza, and like I say, the next one's in December time, and the highlights on the website will be released soon, so watch out for news for that. So part of the program, I also interview businesses on site. So if you're a business, new, old, wherever, anywhere in the country, Essex or London preferably, but easy for me to travel if you like. I'll come along and sort of interview you, how you've grown your business, what you've done, what successes and what challenges you've had. And earlier this year, well, a few weeks ago, I interviewed Darren, Nash and Gary Rose at Planet Leasing, the co-owners at Planet Leasing. They're a car brokerage company. And we talked about the challenges they faced over the last 7 years growing their business, some of the things they've overcome and what they've learned about being in partnership, especially. So if you're someone looking to start their business, but also going in partnership with someone else, maybe there's some insights here in what Darren and Gary's got to say. I'd like to apologise about the sound. When we did the initial recording, there was a problem with one of the mics. So if you want to turn up your sound a little bit when you're listening to the interview, but here is Darren and Gary, with my interview at Planet Leasing. So are you thinking of going in partnership? Are you going to start a new business? I'm here today to talk to Gary and Darren at Planet Leasing, who went in the partnership over 7 years ago, and still going strong. Darren, Gary, what do you do here at Planet Leasing?
We source and finance vehicles for private individuals and businesses. Anyone between 1 and 50 vehicles is our core market.
Great. Now I know that you started 7 years ago, just the two of you, from an idea. Where did the idea come about?
I've been involved in the motor trade now for over 21 years. and I was a bit fed up with the politics that was going on within the motor trade, only being able to supply single products, working for one manufacturer, and I decided to become a broker because I knew there were people in this industry and I knew I could do a better job. And so I enlisted the help of my co-director Gary, who was in a separate business, and we started Planet Leasing in 2007.
So prior to 2007, you were doing something completely different, Gary?
I personally, yes.
Yeah,
I was running my own commercial cleaning company, and also I was building a portfolio of buy-to-let properties.
I see, right.
I was approached by Darren, who, as he mentioned earlier, he was basically having to work twice as hard to stay still. He thought he'd like to do something for himself. Maybe he didn't want to take on the burden of the responsibility of owning and running his own business. I think he felt he wanted to share maybe the financial liabilities and also the responsibilities that go with running a business. We had the conversation, we agreed to do what we set out to do, and we've achieved that.
So tell me, what were some of the early challenges? You haven't worked before, you were two people doing separate things. Darren approached you to start this business, and when you start any partnerships there's going to be challenges. Were there any, did you have like any discussions about how you want to run the business? What were some of the things that you talked about?
Well, I think taking on a partner, you have to look at the benefits in taking on a partner, and also fundamentally whether you can trust that person. I've known Darren since school really, so I've always known the sort of character he is, a hard-working guy, very committed, dedicated, obviously with a view to succeeding. So I thought, well, he'd be a great partnership for me, and hopefully he thought the same.
Yeah. So Dan, when you came up with the idea, you thought of Gary straight away. You know, why didn't you do it on your own? Why did you go to?
I've been thinking about doing various things that weren't related to the car industry, but then I realised that after having been in the industry so long, it would make sense to continue with my expertise.
Okay.
But I'd never run a business before. But I knew Gary had run a business and liked earning money, which is always a good thing when you want to start a business.
Yeah.
So I knew Gary wanted to start a new challenge because his existing business was kind of running itself almost.
Okay.
So we decided to start the partnership.
So when you started the business, what did you have? What was it? You know, did you have big offices? Did you get lots of staff? How was it?
I think what we decided to do was keep our costs as low as possible. So we found a very small unit above a supermarket that had closed down. We negotiated quite hard on the rent. It worked out something like £35 a week, including lighting and heating and water. So it basically meant that we didn't really have to work for the landlord.
Right.
We signed an easy in, easy out type contract, and within, I think it was about 2 years, we had outgrown that business. There was Darren and I plus 3 then, so the 5 of us then moved to our second branch.
Right. Okay. So within 3 years, you grown so much you had to move to a bigger.
Within
premises.
2 years, we went from 2 to 5.
Okay.
So we went to our second premises. We grew there from 5 to 8. The 8th person was working off of a child's desk with a laptop because physically there wasn't enough room. And then we thought we need to scale up, and we decided to come here. There was 8 of us that joined us here, and this business here has grown since, and there's now 15 staff just at this one branch.
Wow.
And we are busting at the seams.
So after the initial enthusiasm and you sort of, you enjoy the ride the first 2 or 3 years and you moved, what were some of the early challenges you came across?
Maintaining staff, as things grow, keeping staff happy, making sure staff are obviously doing what they're supposed to be doing, and obviously ultimately earning money because that's what they're here to do.
Yeah.
Being able to grow the administration side of the business to keep the customers happy. The more business that you do in this industry, the harder it becomes because you've got more challenges, more vehicles to be delivered. So that everything's a challenge. You just got to keep on top of it, basically.
You mentioned about the early enthusiasm.
Yeah.
That enthusiasm has never left us. We are more enthusiastic today about our business than we were when we started the business. And I think it's our enthusiasm, our focus, and our drive that's made us the directors of a successful business with some very, very big plans for the future.
So why do you think that's stayed with you? Because I see a lot of businesses where the initial enthusiasm is there, and then stuff happens, and 2-3 years down the ride, and they just get in the routine of doing the thing and forget the reason. Why do you think your enthusiasm has been there?
Because quite often a lot of businesses just carry on doing what they're doing. They don't look at new challenges or try and change what they're doing. And also, you've always got to change with the times and change with the environment and the market, and that's what we've done.
Right.
And you know, we've always taken advice. We've always looked at trying to grow the business in a sustainable way. We've taken advantage of government schemes that a lot of businesses don't. The apprenticeship scheme has been fantastic for us, because we've been able to take on local young people, nurture them and turn them into full-time staff without necessarily massive costs from recruitment agencies. Some businesses spend too much money, don't leave any money in reserve to grow the business, and it all ends up like a pack of cards.
We're also very cost sensitive, so we don't spend money unnecessarily. We spend the right amount of money if we feel we're going to get a return on our investment.
Okay.
But the enthusiasm for the business, we're always looking to push the business forward. So today we opened the doors at 8:30. When we shut the doors at 6 o'clock tonight, something in the business would have changed. It would have nudged itself slightly forward from where it was to begin with, and that's what we've done every single day. Given the opportunity, we'll always try and improve and add more value to our clients.
So over the last 7 years, what have you learned about yourselves?
I learned that I spent an awful long time working for people that didn't appreciate what I did. So working for yourself, the harder the more input you put in, the more you get back, and you're kind of more accountable to yourself and your business partner and your staff. It's a different type of accountability. But you do get a little bit more freedom as well, which is nice.
For me, I've been self-employed since 1989. I've always been in complete control of my own destiny. What I've learned is that, you know, having a partner, I wasn't sure whether I could deal with that. You know, having to not necessarily be answerable to, but someone I need to share ideas with, and maybe not make a decision in their absence. But I found being in partnership, it's two heads are better than one. And you know, I might have an idea and Darren goes, that's a great idea, but how about this spin? And you think, wow, that's even better, and vice versa. And we both, I think, as we've progressed and the business has evolved, we both understand what we want. We've both got the same goal. There are situations where I say to Darren, you know, you make the decision, don't ask me. If it's the right decision, happy days. If it's the wrong decision, you can be accountable for that, and the same goes for me. So we're trying to split our roles as the business develops.
You sort of alluded to this before, but if people are watching this, they're thinking about trying to find a business partner, what do you think they need to look for in a business partner?
Someone that's solvent, it's always a good start.
Right.
Someone that can get up in the morning, every morning, and present themselves correctly.
I think a decent track record of, you know, hard work is always a good way to look.
The fact that you were mates before, you know, through school and stuff, do you think that helped from your point of view? Not everybody's got.
Yeah, it's good to know something. You know, I think if you just went in blind with someone that you don't really know that well, a lot of people find things out about people, and things they find out they don't necessarily like, do they? And that's what can cause a lot of problems.
We come from very similar backgrounds. We come from a particular area where people were like-minded. His parents come from the same background as my parents, so we haven't come from privileged backgrounds. We understand the value in working hard and the rewards that will come as a result.
Great. So a lot of the key lessons there is probably find someone that's very similar to you but with different skills, someone you can trust, and quite something that someone's willing to wake up in the morning and do the graft.
Absolutely, because you don't want to feel as if the relationship is unbalanced. So you don't want to feel, well, I'm doing 50 hours a week and he's only doing 40. He might do 60 hours the following week, but just need to keep it balanced. You don't want to feel compromised by your partner. And I think the commitment and the effort that Darren and I put into the business is equal.
Great, so tell me about the business itself, your vehicle brokers. What's the core service you offer?
Sourcing vehicles for people and saving people money.
Right.
Basically what we do, we have vehicles on a wholesale cost, and we pass those savings on to individuals and businesses.
Right.
So if they walk into a showroom and look at a particular vehicle, we can normally do that vehicle cheaper because we don't have the same overheads, and we've also got funding options that the main dealers don't have. We've got
yours is a classic example of looking at a market and sort of seeing there's a need there, because everybody's been buying vehicles for...
There's clearly a requirement for what we do, but just going back to Darren's question you asked Darren, it's like when you go into a supermarket and buy a bottle of water, it'll cost you £1. If you buy a 6-pack, they work out less than £1, so you're basically getting more for less. So what we do, we offer that back to the client. You know, although they only want one vehicle, we're buying a multi-pack of those vehicles, so they actually benefit from our kind of wholesale rates, but they're only committing to one vehicle.
I see.
And we're always adding value, and as Darren says, we haven't got the expense of running or working from a £3 million glass showroom that has lots of staff that don't necessarily bring in money, and as a result they have to be paid, the margin has to be retained within a particular vehicle, and as a result the customer pays X, but coming to us they'll pay less than X, but they also get a better service.
So a lot of people, we looking to start a business and thinking, I want to find an angle in a market, you know, and they sometimes think, well, if it's such a good angle, someone must have thought about it already. You know, I can't be the first one. But you seems like you know the marketplace, you found an angle, but I know there's other vehicle brokers but not done as well. What do you think your uniqueness is in terms of making this business success?
Well, we operate from premises that are open to the public, which is quite different to a lot of our competitors. That is a difference, but it doesn't necessarily make the business that different. It's treating customers fairly, looking after people, and looking for different opportunities and ways to market the business, rather than just waiting for things to happen. A lot of our competitors rely solely on the internet to get their business. We do a lot of face-to-face marketing, networking, that type of thing.
We also made a decision, you know, you've got one mouth and two ears, there's only so many people we can talk to. I mean, you can talk to two people at the same time. It got to a point, you know, rather than set a limit on what we can actually do, let's try and teach people and train people to do what we do. And we've taken on some staff in the past that haven't made the grade, and as a result they're no longer here. Then we decided to up the game a bit and invest in staff that have financial commitments, have to earn money. If they haven't already been in the industry, they can be adapted to what we do, and that's what we're now doing, investing in people that can add value, and as a result the whole business has grown. Those people are now managing their own accounts. We're just overlooking those accounts to making sure that it's actually being conducted correctly. And you'll get to a point where, I mean, me personally, I haven't spoken to a customer for 8 months now. I took the decision to step out of the business and look at what's going on in the business. Darren still does, he's still involved in the business, but he's also looking what's going on, and it's just having that, taking the move, which is a brave move, to say, well, I'm actually going to cut off my income, or the income into the company, and I'm going to work on and help other people increase the income, and that's that was quite challenging, but more so rewarding now.
So the key learning there, when you're growing the businesses, you've got to start letting go of things that you might ultimately be doing.
It's hard
from day one.
because it's the baby, it's your baby. You're used to holding this baby and feeding it, nurturing it, and then you're kind of giving it to somebody else. You still watch them to make sure that they're keeping an eye on things.
Right. Well, that's some great insights there. You give us a good background about how you've grown your business, also some of the challenges you came across being partners, and I think there's a lot of people who are looking to start a business that can relate to that and think, you know, some good learning. So thanks for your time. Thanks for your time, Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron, thank you very much.
Yeah. Hi, so hopefully you enjoyed that interview with Darren and Gary, that Planet Leasing, talking about their challenges over the last 7 years of building their business. So that's it for this week's show on I'm An Entrepreneur TV. Hope you've enjoyed the insights from James Cook around CRM and marketing automation, and also from Gary and Darren at Planet Leasing. Our next broadcast will be on two weeks' time, September the 22nd, same time, 8 o'clock. I'd love to hear from you, your tweets, so hashtag me at EntTV, tweet me at Baiju Solanki. Ideas, if you want to be featured on the show, drop me a line. If you know a company that would like to be featured, drop me a line as well. So we've got some big plans for the channel and big opportunities. A couple of things I want to tell you about is a lot of the people, like for example, that last video was edited by my daughter Sapna, and I'm working with a number of apprentices on the channel to get them involved in production. And also I've got some massive plans there. So if you're interested in getting involved with the business side of I'm an Entrepreneur, the TV channel that is, drop me a line, drop me a tweet, and I'm looking for different opportunities and different people who can maybe take this to another level. But there's some exciting things happening, and if you're interested, just drop me a line. In the meantime, I hope you have a great week, and remember, it's anything that you do has a consequence, so make sure you do really good things out there. So this is me, Baiju Solanki, I'm an EntrepreneurTV, and from myself and Dave, who's on production, from Silver Island TV, that's good night, and I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time. Bye-bye.